Hi guys, welcome back to On The Mend. This is the podcast where we look back at life's toughest moments to figure out how we move forward. If you've been watching this for a while, you'll realise that when I do the intros to these podcasts, I read that line because I have it on the iPad. And I realise it's just one line. But for some reason, I freak out about it, so I feel like I have to read it. But it's quite simple. This is the podcast where we look back on life's toughest moments to figure out how to move forward. Easy, memorised, never going to have to look at it again. This is a really cool episode. I'm really excited about this. Slightly nervous in a weird way. But basically, a couple of weeks ago, we put a message out on Instagram for you guys to write some questions in to me to kind of whatever you want to talk about, really. What you want me to talk about, any questions you have for me, any questions you have that are kicking around your brain. You're like, right, okay, let's see if we can get some answers. Just to kind of put this out there. I'm not an expert, right? I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not anything. I'm just a recovering alcoholic drug addict who might have some knowledge of that. That's all I have. This is a video. This is very exciting, isn't it?
Hi Matt, love the podcast. I was wondering who the first person you admitted you had an addiction problem to.
I did Jack Osborne's Adrenaline Junkie show, right? And I went on his show, and this was the very end of my drinking, right? Like about a month before I went to rehab for the last time. And we were in New Zealand, I believe. This is the point. I don't remember being there, right? But we were filming this TV show, and I was an absolute disaster. I was drinking from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to bed. I was out trying to score every night in different towns that I was in. And I was going missing. I was a really bad contestant on the show. And they were kind of trying to navigate having this absolute wrecking ball in their production. And Jack was obviously sober. He was clean and sober, and he'd been sober a couple of years, I think. On the way back to on the airport in New Zealand, I obviously got there. I'd been a dickhead. At this point, I'd just been beaten up in the town centre of whichever city I was. I think it was Kingston. I want to say Kingston. I don't know. That doesn't sound right. Anyway, we're in some major city in New Zealand, and I'd been out in the morning, got pissed, and got beaten up in the town centre, and came back by police. Right, this is when we're about to be flying out that afternoon. So production have got me with policemen, a bleeding face like that, and I'm being taken to the airport to go home. And I bet they're just like, please get this guy on a plane and get him out of our hands. And I was at the airport, so I cut some bruise all over me, and I was drinking in the bar, and Jack came and sat next to me. He basically said, like, I see what you're doing, and I know you've got a problem, Matt, and it's like, it's okay, it's going to be all right. And he said, I've got a place in LA. If you want, there's a ticket on the flight that I'm going to right now back to LA. I can take you with you, and I can drop you off at that rehab at that rehab. And I was annoyed at him. I was probably rude to him. I was pissed and a dickhead. And I was like, no, mate, no, I'm just going for a bit of a tough time. I'm all right. Everything's okay. And he just sat with me and let me say all that bullshit to him. He went, look, I've talked to the guy. There's a place for you. You can be in there tomorrow, and it's going to be all right. And I was like, no, mate, no, you're off red, see you later. And I got on the plane back to London instead of going to LA. And then 3 weeks later, I checked myself into rehab. So he was on the money. It was an amazing thing he did. But sort of about timing, isn't it? I just wasn't ready to hear it at that point. And then when I got back from that trip, Emma went away on a work trip for 3 weeks, and I was on my own. And that's when things got really scary and really, really dark for me. And that's when I checked myself into rehab. And I remember when I first called a friend of mine in recovery to get a rehab place, it was because I realised I should have taken him up on that offer, and I didn't. And I saw what happened in those 3 weeks of being on my own. And yeah, so he was the first person who really, I think, truly saw me, saw the bullshit I was living in, and called it out. That was really the first seed of going, oh, you need to get recovery in your life. Because I remember looking at him many times on that trip and going, you've got something that I want. Whatever that thing is, I want it. And that thing was recovery. I just didn't know what that was. I went to rehab a few times before ever really wanting to get sober. So I said, I've got a bit of a problem. I need to sort it out. but never intended on stopping. I went to rehab when I was 21, like about 4 months into a relationship with Emma, because she saw it. I never really told anybody how bad it had got until I was in rehab the last time, until I was 25 and I was in the Provi in Bournemouth and I spoke to a counsellor about it, because I lied about it all. Like, I never let people know the true extent of what it was. Remember, Emma, I didn't know this or ever saw it, but we made this documentary, Fighting Addiction, and in it she found an old book that she wrote, like, out tonight, Matt drank this, like 4 bottles of this, 2 cans of this. She made little notes of what I was drinking, because obviously I was telling her I wasn't. She was kind of seeing it, so she was just making notes. And the truth is, I was doing probably 3 times as much as she saw, because I was really good at just hiding it. We've talked to a few people in recovery now about that, the kind of lies that we tell and the games that we play. We're so good at it, it becomes second nature. Like, it doesn't even feel like lying, it just feels like kind of survival. Okay, so this is from Charlie. Did you ever have to deal with friends who liked drinking with you, but you wanted to go sober? Did I have that happen to me? Yes and no. But most people around me, like, I remember going for dinner with a mate of mine who actually works in this building. And we went for, I was probably 6 months sober. I went for dinner with him. And I was kind of like trying to be all cool and blasé about it. I was like, mate, you can have a drink. I don't mind. He was like, it's a Tuesday, Matt. I was like, yeah, but, you know, we always used to, he was like, no, you did. And you kind of like, just like rallied us all together and put drinks in our hand. And I was like, oh, I was the common denominator in all those drinking escapades. It was me that did that. And he was quite happy to just sit, have some dinner, have a Diet Coke with me, have some food and a chat. And it wasn't a big deal. Why is that making me emotional? It was a beautiful thing, right? It's kind of like, oh, this is okay. This isn't as difficult as I'm making it out in my head to be. What I think you'll run into, right, if you're trying to make a big change in your life, is that certain people don't really want you to change. If you do something, right, positive for your life, certain people might not like that. And that's okay, right, because it's not about them, it's about you. But it kind of shows up a mirror to them and their behaviour, and they don't really like that. It can be a bit uncomfortable for them. So they're like, oh, it wasn't that bad. You know, what are you talking about? You're all right, have a drink. And that can be really, really damaging, because you can go, oh, maybe I wasn't that bad. But the thing is that you've made a decision, right? You have had enough of this and it's for you. And so you're doing it. Like, a few kind of randomers would say things like that to me, like, oh, come on, Matt, it wasn't that bad. You can have one. Woo. But I knew very well that that wasn't the case for me. It can seem overwhelming and a bit kind of like scary to live your life differently if all you've known is this certain way of acting. But really, choosing to not have a drink isn't that much of a big deal. And people that do find it a big deal maybe aren't the people that you want to be going out with at the time, in my opinion. Like, I didn't go out and be around people drinking and stuff for a really long time when I quit. I just didn't feel safe in those environments. I kind of like made a decision, do you know what? I tried it. I didn't feel comfortable. I had to leave, you know? So I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. And that was the right decision for me. It may not be for you. You know, you might have to. There might be work things that you have to go to, or certain family events that you have to be at, right? And they can be challenging. We've talked about this before, about putting kind of guardrails around those events. Like, for instance, I would always have a leave time and I would stick to it. I'd go, right, okay, I'm going to go to this thing. It's going to be difficult. I'm going to grit my teeth and bear it until 11 p.m. and then I'm out of there, because nothing really good happens when you're sober after 11 p.m. Really, like, everyone gets a bit messy. Everyone's on a different wavelength to you. And that's okay, because they're enjoying their time and they're doing their thing. You are no longer part of that. And that can be challenging, because you can kind of want to a little bit. You can go, oh, everyone seems to be having a good time. But you have to remember, was that a good time for you? Was going there and doing that leading to good times, or was it leading to the bad times that you want to stop, that you don't want to have anymore, that you don't want to live, you don't want to wake up in that regret, in that shame, in that bullshit. You don't want to do that anymore. So yes and no is the answer to that question. Yeah, I had a lot of people around me who maybe kind of liked drunk, pissed, party Matt, but then most people that I love and most people that love me were just so happy that I wasn't that absolute nightmare anymore that was making everyone really sad. And most people were just relieved that I'd said I was going to, because I made a point to people that I wasn't going to drink or use anymore. And I told a few key people in my life. So they were just pleased that I was actually telling the truth. And I was actually living up to this statement that I'd made. And I was following it through. So they were in some way proud of me for doing that. So the people that you'll surround yourself with, you'll find the ones that want you to win. And the ones that maybe don't know you well enough, or maybe don't understand the problems that you're going through. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you have to dislike those people. It just means, you know what, you don't really know what that's like for me. And that's okay, because it's not your job to, but I do. So, yeah. Okay, next one is from Chrissy. Is there anything about recovery that you struggle with daily, or anything you used to? Emotions, right? I was ill-equipped. I spend my time around a lot of addicts, right? And I feel like we've got this kind of like inability to deal with anything, right? It's like we spent our entire lives sometimes numbing these feelings, or kind of like, or not being able to cope with emotions of any kind. So we kind of just numb them or drink them away, use them away. And that was really challenging for me at the beginning, because if I felt an emotion, I really fully felt it. And I was like, I don't know how to deal with this. Like, what is this? And it would just lead a little bit to anger, but internally for me. And I'd get cross at myself for not being grown up enough to kind of deal with this. I meet a lot of people as well, and I feel like they experience this too. When you get clean and sober for the first time, you realise you haven't really ever had to deal with emotions. So you're kind of quite emotionally young. I didn't have any resources to go to for how to deal with this, or if someone else was emotional, I didn't know how to deal with that, so it was a really weird thing for me. So that was something I really struggled with, because normally I just drink those away, or like it was a perfect excuse to pick up, so actually having to deal with that probably lasted a lot longer than it needed to, because I didn't know how to process it, and that's okay, because then I got to work with people, kind of work with therapists and stuff about how to kind of deal with these things, and what they actually meant and what they were, and that this too shall pass. Because when I would get sad about something, I think, oh my God, I'm going to feel like this forever, but it does pass. It really does. Whatever you're going through it, and it will come to the other side of it. So I had to kind of learn that stuff. That was really hard. Is there anything I struggle with on a daily basis? Struggle's a hard word, because no, I don't think I struggle with anything now. Like, I feel like I can fully live in this world without drinking drugs. And I don't ever think about drinking or using, which is honestly a bloody miracle. It was every thought of mine, like every action of my life was ruled by this thing. And now I don't have that. Recently, right, I've been going through something which I've realised I've got to work on, is that I have no middle ground on most emotions, right? So like, I'm either, like, if someone else is upset, right, I'm either massively empathetic and like crying with them, or I'm like, it's all right, come on. Like, I don't know what that middle ground of empathy is. It's like how do I be like encouraging or supportive without fully going there with them, or being a bit blasé about it? So I'm a fixer, right? I like to fix things, and that's not helpful at all the time. Sometimes you just have to listen. I find that quite difficult. I'm not very good at that. I like to kind of go, right, okay, I feel we can do this and this and this and this and this. And sometimes that's not what they need. They just need to be listened to and heard. And I'm not very good at that sometimes. I'm much more kind of like, I can get really down the trenches with someone, or I can be, right, let's sort you out. But I'm not very good at just listening. So I'm learning that. So that's something I'm struggling with at the moment. Next one is from Ryan.
Hi, Matt. How many times have you been to rehab, and what do you think is about the last time that worked?
Yeah, I went to rehab once when I was 21, once when I was about 22, and then straight after that, I went to that day thing when I was about 23, and then when I was 25, I went to the Providence Project in Bournemouth. What was it about the last time that really stuck? Well, the thing is, if I'm honest, I relapsed when I came out of there. I think it's about being ready to listen. Like, I was on my knees when I went there the last time. There was no doubt in my mind that I was a drug addict and an alcoholic. I couldn't deny it anymore. There was no more denial in me. I was losing everything. So there was no doubt in my mind that I needed to go. And when I was there, I actually wanted it. I actually didn't want to be like that anymore, which is the difference. Because before, I've been like, I just want to get sorted out so I can get back to it. I just want a little bit of a break, a little bit of a spa retreat, and rehab wasn't that. So I had to give this one that people were suggesting me to live in a real go. And I got on my knees and asked for help, and it was given to me by another drug addict, and they helped me, and we kind of worked on it together for a while. And then I got strength in groups and meetings and people, and it was life-changing. This is from Hannah. Here we go.
Hi, Matt and On The Mend podcast team. I was wondering your thoughts on the anxiety of contemplating going sober completely, or returning to hopefully drinking in moderation, if that is even a thing for someone who is an alcoholic. After doing a successful 30 days month sober, I did 30 days off. I found it really easy, but coming towards the end of that month, I got such anxiety. I think just in the decision of whether to continue going sober or continue going back to drinking. Any thoughts would be great.
Hi, Hannah. You're not alone. This is a big thing. There's a few things in this. I just want to kind of break them down. One, going back to moderate drinking if you are an alcoholic. I don't know, right? All I can speak about is my experience and the experience of other people that I've worked with and that I've met. And I believe, for me, if you are an alcoholic like me, there is no safe way to drink alcohol ever again. Like, we have a physical allergy to this stuff that kind of like takes over the body and the mind and the spirit in some way. Like, it's such a multifaceted thing that I know that I can never drink safely ever again. And I don't want to, because I tried that, I tested it, and it didn't work every time. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That's alcoholism. It's like you do the same thing, you test the water again. Oh, this time I think I'll be able to cope with it. And guess what? You can't. So if you are an alcoholic, I don't think you can ever drink or if you're an addict, take drugs safely ever again. You know, that's one thing that I've come to the conclusion for myself, right? I don't know anyone else's story. So where you are in your journey is your story, right? So if you might not be like me. There are certain people in life, I don't want to give too many excuses here as well, because if you're an alcoholic, you're an alcoholic. But there are certain periods of people's life where they drink too much. That's not obviously a wise decision to do, but it can help in that moment, right? So there's different levels of this stuff. You know, some people binge drink and act like a twat, and like they don't want to do that anymore. Whatever it is for you is whatever it is for you, right? So if you've had enough of this, or if alcohol is controlling you in some way and you feel out of control, you don't feel in the driver's seat, then you have to make that decision for yourself, right? And that's a big decision. And that will come with some anxiety, right? It will come with some worry. It will come with, I had loads of anxiety about anything. For the first year of sobriety, I was anxious to walk into the local shop because there was booze there. There's so many things in life which will freak you out and cause you anxiety when you're quitting drinking. I promise you that after a period of time, that will no longer happen. I would always look at how do you feel? How are you performing? How are your relationships? How do you look? All these kind of things. How do you feel about yourself? All these kind of questions. Really ask them to yourself. And if the answer is everything's a bit better, maybe going back to drink's not a good idea. But 30 days, well done. That's tough. You did good.
Life with my family, work and everything else can get a bit chaotic, but staying on top of my health is one thing I know that I can control. For me, it's about keeping it simple and consistent. That's where Vitals by Heights comes in. When I look at my diary, it's packed, right? With kids, the podcast, shows, everything else, it's easy to let my health slip down the priority list. But I've learned that staying consistent with the basics, like my daily health routine, keeps me going through the chaos. 2 small capsules each morning give me everything I need to stay energized, focused, and on top of my game. No complicated routines, no hassle. I need simplicity, and Vitals takes the guesswork out of maintaining my energy and performance. Whether heading for a full day's worth of On The Mend records or chasing after the kids, I know I've got the right fuel to keep up. If you want to make health simple and consistent like I have, click the link in our description and use code OTM20 to get 20% off your first month.
If this feels familiar, please follow the podcast. There's a whole community here that are all going through it with you. Here we go. Right, this is Ben.
Hey Matt, hope you're doing well, brother. I'm actually at the studio right now, ready to record you a little bit later. And I love working with you and hearing more about your story each week we work together. And I know that a new chapter in your story is that you've recently given up vaping in preparation for your lead role at the Cabaret. And I'd just like to know a little bit more about how that challenge is going for you. Sweet brother.
Oh, mate, twisted the knife. Right, okay, so I did a really big, bold thing, and I was like, right, I'm going to stop vaping. Thing is, I hate the fact to do it. Like, I'm embarrassed to talk about it because it's kind of like everything about it's just a bit embarrassing. Like, I started to do it, and before I knew it, I couldn't take this thing out of my mouth. Like, it's like an adult dummy. Like, I've just got it in my mouth the whole time. I'm constantly vaping, and I don't enjoy it. Like, it's weird. I crave it, but I'm not getting anything from it. Like, at least with other kind of drinking drugs, you feel some effect. You know, I don't feel like I'm feeling anything from this. I'm just relieving the craving of not doing it. So it's a really weird relationship. So right now, where I'm at is I have not vaped for 4 days now, which is pretty good for me. But I am doing the snooze thing. So I'm having these, but they're not as fun, right? This is like, it's like you put it in your gum, you feel a bit weird, you know, it's like, but it takes that kind of monster noise away for me. So I know it's a Band-Aid. Like, I know it's I need to quit nicotine, but I don't want to. Like, it's really hard. I feel like you've got to really want to quit something, to quit it. And I just don't want to. Like, but I do want to quit vaping. So at the moment, I'm using this. This all sounds like excuses. I know what this sounds like. It sounds like I'm making up loads of excuses and I'm whinging. But I'm finding it really difficult to give up nicotine. And the reason is that I like it. Like, I really like nicotine. And, like, I'm massively addicted to it. Like, hugely addicted to it. I've smoked since I was 13, 14. And I've always had nicotine in my life. And so I'm finding... Like, we did this big thing. I chucked the vapes away, chucked the snus away. I was like, right, I'm done. You know, it's going to be hell for a couple of days. And I did it in the studio. And I left the studio and I was driving to a gig, right? Busted out a gig that night. And I was driving to the gig. I had some food before I got in the car. I started driving to the gig. And this was about maybe 5 hours later, after having not had nicotine. And someone cut me up in traffic, right? I don't know if I should say this out loud, but I fucking lost it. Like, absolutely lost it. Like, I've not felt like this in, I can't remember the last time I behaved like this either. I undid my seatbelt. Like, I literally saw red instantly, undid my seatbelt to grab my door, to get out and fight him? Like, what the fuck was I going to do? Go, whoa! You know, it's such a bizarre thing for me to do, but I just lost it. I just went, what the fuck am I doing? Like, it was such a weird moment of my life. I shut my door. I was like, man, sort yourself out. You know, like, what was going on? Like, what was I going to do? Imagine if I got out the car. Whoa, you cut me up. You know, what an idiot. So literally I got to the gig and unfortunately we had vapes on our rider. So for me, so I had one sitting there next to the protein bars and I picked it up and I was back on it. And so that lasted for a couple of weeks. And then about 4 days ago, I was in a vocal call for Cabaret and I realised I'm not going to be able to sustain this with this vaping going on. I'm just not going to be able to do it. So I switched to the snus and that's working for now. So I don't plan on vaping again. I don't want to do it anymore. I don't want to have that in my life. It's embarrassing. It's terrible for you. Everything about it is wrong. I don't want my kids doing it. Like, I've been very adamant to them that vaping is stupid and I'm secretly doing it. Like, it's so hypocritical. I'm really sorry, TJ. Just, I let you down and I didn't follow through.
All right, still.
Yeah.
Hey, mate. Love that little bit. Oh, Ben, what have you done to me? Okay, I'm holding up. Love it. Honesty is the best policy. Okay, this is called being kind. Right, I know this bloke. This is my mate, Will. Will works at High Performance. I've known Will for 20 years. I was 21 when I met Will. Will worked at MTV with Emma. So when I first met Emma, Will was working with her. And we became mates, and we've been mates ever since. One of my best friends in the world. So I know this face. There he is. Look at him. Right. The problem is that before pressing this, Will has seen me at every fucking moment, right? He's been through the shit with me. He's a bloke I was talking about that I went to dinner with, and he sat there and told me, it's Tuesday, Matt. It's fine. I don't need to drink. He's been through every moment of life with me, you know, apart from being a kid, obviously. We met when I was 21. But he's been through and he's seen a lot. So this could be anything he's about to say, which is slightly worrying. Here we go.
Hello, Matthew. I have a question. Do you remember the podcast we recorded in your house at about 2010 in your spare room? Well, what have I told you? That I found it.
No!
We're going to listen to it. I'm only joking.
Oh my God.
I just wanted to say, you are, without a doubt, one of the most kind, generous people I have ever met in my life. And there should be a lot more Matt Willises in this world, I tell you that. But my question to you is, when did you actually learn how to be kind to yourself? Love you, bro.
God, he scared me then with the podcast. We did it in like 2010. So podcasts weren't really a thing then. Basically, we were listening to Joe Rogan on this like weird website that we had to download the episode to our computers because there wasn't a podcasting app. And so it was very like new and kind of like, we were like, I know, we should be like the first people in the UK to do a podcast. Like, if only we'd done it. This is before medication, obviously, you know, but so we recorded this episode where we just chatted shit in my spare room. And thank God he hasn't got it. That's nice to hear from him. When did I learn to be kind to myself? I think I still struggle with that a little bit. I can be a bit hard on myself. I can be a little bit kind of like, with so many different aspects of my life. Like, I'm trying to get better at that, right? I think therapy helped a lot with that. Like, it really did, because there's something within me that, I don't know, still punishes myself for things I've done in the past. I've let a lot of them go. I've done a lot of work on them, and I've been an arsehole to people, and I've done things that I'm not proud of, and I've managed to make amends where I can. I'm getting better at it. I really am. And I do like myself today. That's the difference. It's hard for me to say love myself out loud, you know, but I do like myself a lot more than I ever have. Like, I'm quite comfortable being me these days, and I don't feel like I need to be anyone else, which is really good, because I spent so much of my life putting on an act and putting on a bit of a show for everybody, or being a bit of a chameleon and fitting into what everyone else's energy was. Now I'm just quite happy to be me. What I found really interesting was that when we had Scott Thomas on, he went, "You're really calm, really calming energy." I was like, I've never had that said about me before. So that's new. But yeah, I feel much more comfortable in myself these days. But I think that's because of therapy. Like, I went to therapy and I really kind of worked on that, because there was loads of stuff that I was holding on to from the past, which I hadn't let go of, and was stopping me from fully being able to be me. And luckily, I've worked through a lot of those things, and I feel much more comfortable in myself these days. Like, I learned in therapy, there was this, one of the first sessions I ever had, was the guy said to me, "Is that fact or is that a thought?" And that's a really good way for me to test something, because if I am spiraling, if I am going, you're a piece of shit, whatever the term is, I can go to myself, right, is that a fact? Have you got any evidence for that? Or is that a thought that you're turning into a rumination, that you're deciding to ruminate on? And a lot of the time it's a thought, and I can go, oh, it's a thought, boom, then it's gone, then I can move on, which is a really good skill that I've kind of picked up. It takes a bit of work, but I'm getting much better at it. And a lot of them are thoughts. Like very rarely do they have factual evidence for them, but I can make them feel like they're true sometimes. So is it a fact or is it a thought? That's really helped me. Okay, so we're going to change speed a little bit now. We're going to go to ADHD questions. This is from Ruby. What's your experience of the pros and cons of being on medication for ADHD? What are your coping strategies without meds? This is a really poignant question for me. This year, I stopped taking medication. Now, look, once again, right, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist, not a psychologist. I'm not anything. I'm just a person who's living through this. When I first found out I had ADHD, when I first got diagnosed, I tiptoed around the question of medication. I was scared of it. It was like, when I looked at him, I was like, it's an amphetamine. How can I be in recovery and take something mind-altering every day? It doesn't make sense to me. And it was a real kind of like puzzle for me in my head as to whether or not to go there or not. But I decided to try it, right? And I had incredible results with ADHD medication. Like everything in my life got better. I'm not gonna lie. Like they were incredible for me. They made me be able to follow through on things, to be able to focus on what I wanted to focus on. When I took it, I got shit done. Everything I'd always thought was going to be me forever, suddenly I was like, oh, I'm actually not that. I'm doing these things and my brain seems to work better, and everything about it was positive. And then I had this weird period of time where I was training for the Busted tour, right? And I was kind of like, it's about a year before I knew we were going to be going on tour, and I was like, right, okay, I want to get in really good shape. I want to sort myself out. So I was on like a diet plan and kind of doing all this stuff, and I lost a bit of weight. But I lost almost 2 stone, right? And suddenly these ADHD tablets were freaking me out, right? And I know now what happened was that basically you take the medication based on your weight, and I'd lost almost 2 stone in weight. So like I was taking a massively bigger dose than I probably should have been. And I was feeling sketchy and weird. And I watched some videos back of me and I was like, I look like I'm on drugs. Like instantly, like it freaked me the fuck out. Like I saw a video of myself and my jaw was going a little bit and my eyes were wide. I didn't blink and I was looking and I was like, oh my God, I look like I'm high. And I was like, that's made me feel really uncomfortable. And then something within me was like, I am taking something to change who I am every day, right? And this is a personal thing. Don't get me wrong. I think anyone makes a choice for themselves. But for me, I was like, right now, I don't feel comfortable in taking something which changes my brain chemistry. I made the decision I'm going to do a period of time without meds. And I have found it difficult. But if I'm honest, I have found it really difficult. Like, I thought I was kind of like, well, I'm a big boy now. You know, I've done this for a number of years. I kind of got my life together. I feel like it's going to be okay. I have found it really, really weird coming off my ADHD meds. I feel like I haven't got quite as much motivation. I feel like a bit more kind of lackluster. I feel like I'm quite happy to sit and do nothing for a long period of time. Like all these kind of things that I didn't like about myself when I started to go on medication, now I'm seeing creep back in. But I feel a bit more comfortable with those things now. Like I don't know, there's something about me that isn't in this kind of like hustle culture mentality right now, where I don't feel like I have to be winning every moment of the day. I'm not quite happy to go, okay, right, I feel all right. Everything's kind of going well. Do I need to be achieving all of these things in one day? Do I need to be putting this kind of pressure on myself? And the answer is no. So I'm in a really weird place with it. I don't feel quite as on it as I do when I'm on medication. I miss that. I miss that, having the thought and being able to do it. I miss that. There's a barrier to that processing for me, which takes a little while to come out, or I just sit on it, ruminate on it, and I forget to say it, and then the moment's moved on. These little things that I'm finding about myself without medication are quite strange, but I am sleeping better. My appetite's better. Like I feel all these kind of things that were worrying me about medication have gone. My heart rate's down, all these kind of things. My exercise is better. All these things are an improvement, but I do miss the qualities that the meds gave me. And I wasn't shy about being on medication. Like, I never kind of like didn't admit to it. I was always like, I'm taking ADHD meds. But there's something, this internal battle that I have all the time of, you talk about being clean and sober as being the best thing that's ever happened to you. And I preach this message of sobriety, and I take a mind-altering medication every day. Something about that doesn't sit well with me. And I'm finding out where I'm still on this path, right? I don't know where everything sits right now, but I'm at the moment not on medication. It's all right. It's not as worrying and scary as I thought it was going to be, but I definitely noticed the difference. This is a funny one, right? Because maybe we need to get an ADHD specialist on to really chat this through with me, because obviously things changed and my medication changed, and I kind of didn't really do that process, I think, as professionally as I possibly could. So maybe there's a few questions that are unanswered for me, and I need to speak to a professional about it, because I just decided myself, boom, I'm not going to do that anymore. And it's been a bit of a wobbly period of time for me without them. So it'd be good to chat to somebody about this. Do you think we should get another ADHD specialist on? Maybe chat through this kind of medication problem? If you do, let me know in the comments. Okay, this next message is from Tom.
Hi, Matt. I've heard you speaking about ADHD, and I wondered if you had any advice for someone like me who has family members with ADHD, and how we might be able to support our family members.
Tom, family members of ADHD. This is going to sound really difficult, right? But I think knowledge is power, right? If you can understand what an ADHD brain is like compared to normal brain, it's a very different place to live, right? There's so much going on. And for other people, it might just be quite annoying, or like, why do they behave like that? It's so fucking rude, or it's so annoying, or, but really it's just the way their brain is working. And I think if you could take the time to, there's so many videos out there. If you go on YouTube and just look at some ADHD videos, you will find so many things that you will resonate with about the person in your life who has ADHD and how to deal with them better. You'll be able to find this stuff out. I think knowledge is power, rather than going, oh, this is a nightmare, he's a nightmare, she's a nightmare. Go, okay, what's going on for them and how can I help them through that? I think understanding is a big point for this, right? It's like going, okay, their brain works differently to mine, and however much I want them to behave the way I want them to behave, they're not going to. So it's about understanding where their head's at and maybe be able to work together on things. And also it's the way you talk to someone with ADHD sometimes, because if they're anything like me, they felt so shit about the way they behave or the way they do things for such a long time that as soon as a finger points at them for it, it's like a knife in the chest, and it can maybe cause a reaction that is unwarranted from the person with ADHD. So it's finding out a way to approach that subject that doesn't seem too pointed or too, you're a shit person. There's a way of talking about this kind of stuff. So knowledge is power, right? It's like, find out as much as you possibly can about the subject, I would advise. So this is another folder that we've got here, which is called random, which I imagine is just like rows of random stuff that came in that doesn't really fit into any kind of bracket. Okay, cool. So I have no idea what this is, so bear with me. Right. This is from Mark. What guest has taught you the most? For me, I found Russell Kane was incredibly smart. What about you? I love Russell Kane. I found him so awesome to be around. When I met him, I was like, mate, I'm horizontal compared to you, brother. Do you know what I mean? He is full on, and I love it. I don't know, I really, really, really enjoyed talking to him, and I felt like we could have done a weekly podcast, me and him, about a different subject, and it would have been a fucking blast. I loved speaking to Russell. I've got so much from so many different people. TJ Power to me is just one of those people that I think the world needs. He's young and enthusiastic about a subject, and he doesn't kind of talk down to people about it. And I think other people will get a lot from him rather than just switch off as when you hear the word neuroscientist, you're like, see you later. I'm not going to be able to understand anything you're saying, let alone get anything from you. But he's got a way of kind of communicating that is really powerful and speaks to me. And I know if I had to show my kids another neuroscientist or TJ Power, they're going to get more from this guy. And I'm a big kid and I get more from him, but he's just very clever and very smart and very kind of a non-judgmental and kind of knows that this is a new world that we're navigating, and he's trying to kind of find ways to navigate it with us. It's I find it really incredible. There's so many people on this podcast who I get a lot from, and there's more coming up. Like, we've got a few episodes coming up soon that I think I don't want to talk about them too early, but I think everyone's going to get massive, massive things from. Huge guests, massive guests, very exciting. Here we go, next one.
Hey, Matt, it's Claire in London.
Hi, Claire.
What is a role that you've always wanted to play?
Oh, Claire, good question. Do you know what? The first one that springs to mind is Javert in Les Mis. Like, I remember going to watch Les Mis when I was I'd never been to the theatre before, and I randomly got a scholarship to Sylvia Young Theatre School when I was about 14. And I was at a theatre school and I'd never been to the theatre ever. So we queued up and we got tickets for Les Mis. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen in my life. I couldn't believe that people were doing that in front of me. It was like, not only were they incredible singers and storytellers and actors, but they were making me feel things like I didn't know I could feel. Like, it was the most magical experience I'd ever had at that point in my life. Like, it really made a massive dent on me. I'm not Jean Valjean, but I could possibly be Javert. And I've actually, don't know if I should say this, I've auditioned for it before and I haven't got it. And warranted, I'm not quite there yet. Like, vocally, it's a real struggle for me. I've auditioned for it twice and I haven't got it. I've had a callback both times, but on the callback, you have to sing this one song, which I won't talk about, but it's bloody difficult, and I can never. No. I will one day. Hopefully, I'll do it on stage one day. But it's really hard, and every time I get to that point in the audition, I'm like, I'm not ready for this role yet. Like, it's too hard for me vocally. Like, I feel like I've got the character down, everything's great, but my voice just isn't ready for that yet. Do you know what? It's that thing, isn't it? Saying it out loud. Maybe I need to listen to Roxy Nafusi a little bit more and manifest this role into my life. I think it might make me. I've never really done any manifestation. Like, I listen to Roxy, it sounds amazing, but for some reason there's something within me that goes, nah, not for me. But it's the one thing I haven't tried. So do you know what? I'm going to give it a go. Let's manifest this. I'm going to learn how to do it properly. I'm going to listen back to that episode, really work out how to do it. I'm going to put Javert out there and work on it, and hopefully one day you might see me in Les Mis. Right, next one is from Kirsty. Kirsty, can I just say, like, thank you so much for your support. You have been one of those members of our community that is really vocal, and I love that. I love the fact that you interact with us all the time, that you post stuff, that you comment on stuff. It means a lot to us. Thank you so much for being such an active member of our community. Right, Kirsty, what you say?
Hey Matt, so my question is, how do you stay motivated when everybody else around you isn't? Like, if you're having a really good day, you're really high energy, you're raring to go, you're ready for it, everybody else around you is just really, really low and they're dragging you down with them. How do you deal with that? You know, how do you keep your energy high and your spirits high, and how do you keep that motivation? Because it's something I've really struggled with in the past, and I'd love to know your input.
Oh, this is a good question. This is something that's really difficult. I experience this a lot. They say that you're a combination of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So the one thing I will say is that choose those fucking 5 people wisely. You know, like, we really need to focus on who is feeding us, you know, rather than draining us. Like, what was it? Russell Kane said that some people are drains.
If all your friends are drains rather than radiators, you ain't got a chance. A drain leaves you like that. A radiator is when, like, at the end of this conversation, I'll be like fucking buzzing, just hanging out with you.
Yeah.
Charged up. I'll do that. Call, Matt, this is Agent. We can do a documentary together. Yeah, I'll be like that. You'll get all kinds of shit after this. So that's because you're a radiator. You're charging me up with ideas.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here today. A lot of people have got leftovers in their lives. I was friends with them when I'm 16, so I'm friends with them now.
We've been through a lot together.
Yeah, but they hate you. They're in a side hoe group. They slag you off. They make fun of you when you go to the gym. They make fun of your new girlfriend. They say it won't last. Bye, twat. That's the end of that relationship.
We need more fucking radiators in our life, and we really do, right? I've noticed that there's certain people in my life in the past who I'm just like, do you know what? You're not good for me. Now I fill my life with radiators. Look, some people can have a bad day, right? We can all have a bad day. I can have a bad day. I can wake up on the wrong side of the bed some days. I have ways of kind of correcting that in the morning now, that as long as I have time to do it, I can get myself out of that slump. But we're going to have people around us who are sometimes going to have a shit day. And then it's about supporting them through it. If it's an ongoing thing, that's going to be challenging. But we need to remove ourselves from situations that no longer serve us. This is the bottom line, right? There's certain things that we are going to outgrow at certain points in our life. It's difficult if you're working with everyone and everyone's a bit like, no one wants to be there, everyone's unhappy about where they are or whatever you're going through. That's a really tough place to be. And I understand that's not as easy as going, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. And it's difficult with family, but we have to realise that our life is our life, right? It's not other people's. We can help and we can support as much as we can, but at the end of the day, we have to make decisions based on what we want and what's best for us in the long run, and try and support and help people along the way. But you have to look out for yourself. And if that means cutting certain people off, if that means stepping away from certain people who are draining you, then you go for that, because it's going to make your life better. And then you're going to be able to make the lives of people that are around you better by being a better person. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. So if they are a drain and not a radiator, maybe it's time to ditch them. Right, okay, here we are. This is a section called songs, right? Obviously, we do music to mend by on the mend. So here we have them. I haven't seen them yet. So the first one here is from Lisa.
Hi, Matt. This is Lisa from New York. And I was just wondering, what song reminds you of the happiest time of your life?
Do you know what? On the last tour, this is the one that keeps popping into my mind. We sung this song called Dawson's Geek, right? It's not the greatest song we've ever wrote. It's really not. It's from the first album. It's not brilliant songwriting by any means. It's like naive kids writing songs in their bedroom. But it reminds me very vividly of being naive kids writing songs in their bedroom and getting to play it every night. Unfortunately, James, who I wrote it with, wasn't there with me when we were doing it, which was really sad, because I would have loved to have seen him singing Dawson's Geek again. But it was, we haven't played that in 25 years, something like that song. And so it was amazing to play that live. And I do love that song, so it reminds me of that time. This next one's from Zaina.
What's up, Matt? This is Zena from Dowagiac, Michigan, USA. And I'm curious, I know that you're into Blink-182. I know that Green Day is an influence of yours. What is your favorite song of all time? Is it from them? Are you a secret Beyonce fan? What is it?
Oh, my favourite song of all time is God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. It's like, it will never not make me get emotional, that song. It's just a beautiful, incredible production. Like it's just a fantastic song. I love it. And it was actually our first dance at our wedding as well. Like, it's kind of got multiple meanings for me, this song. I love it. I love Three Little Birds by Bob Marley as well. It's another one. They're kind of stereotypical favourite song land, but they are right up there for me. Anything by Blink I can get along with, really. Like, Blink-182 really changed my life. They were kind of that band that kind of allowed me to be in a band and not feel that I needed to be perfect to do it. They were kind of like, they really spoke to me and inspired me to do music, really. So anything by them as well. Okay, this next one's from Valerie.
Hi, Matt. I'm Valerie Carlson from Los Angeles, California. And I was wondering, what is your go-to song for when you're feeling down?
I've got two. One I've just mentioned, thanks Valerie. One I've just mentioned, which is Three Little Birds by Bob Marley. I will pop that on and make myself feel good. Another one is called Knee Deep by Zac Brown Band. It's a country song. It is a banger, and I put that on all the time. And when I was doing 222, the play, it's quite a dark play, and there was moments that are quite like, for me, like going to places which was touching on reality for me at certain moments during this play. So I put that on in my dressing room and just dance around to it. Got me out of that headspace. And I do that all the time. Whenever I need a bit of a pick-me-up, Zac Brown Band come on and I rock out to it. Love it. It's banger. Check it out. Okay, next one's from Kayla.
Hey Matt, this is Kayla coming to you from sunny Los Angeles, and I was just curious, as someone myself who is deeply moved by music, who uses it Anytime I want to feel something deeply, if you have a track, something that you keep returning to, a song that really grounds you, that still hits no matter how many times you hear it, would love to know.
Yeah, there's one song. Good question. Right, a song that really grounds me. Because I've got songs that I go to for different kind of points, for different emotions that I'm going through, or kind of like to get me through something. But one song, and it's a bit out there, no one will know it. It's by a band called No Twist, and it's called Consequence. And I heard this song when I was about 19, I think. I was in Germany and I was touring with Busted, and it was a bit of a shit time. Like, I was in a bit of a dark place, and we were constantly on this bloody bus driving everywhere, and it was really just a bit dreary and down. And I found this song by No Twist called Consequence, and I think I got it from Charlie's brother. I had this CD from him, and it was a red cover. It was a beautiful song. But this song, it's like trip hop kind of vibe, and it was very different to anything else I was listening to. And I listened to the whole album, but this song really spoke to me. I would put it on every day, sometimes on repeat, just this one song again and again and again, looking out the window. And I did it for years. Like, whenever I felt like I needed to kind of like come into my own body, or kind of just like get out of my thinking mode for a little while, I just put this song on, and it's quite trippy and quite a very different vibe to anything else I'd listened to. And I loved it. And also it's got the same lyrics. Like, it's just this lyric repeated, like a verse and a chorus repeated twice. And it's a beautiful song. It feels very, very kind of like, I don't know, kind of a bit trippy, but it's fun. Check it out. Consequence by No Twist. Well, there we have it. That's all of our questions. Guys, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. You know, like, we've always talked about this with On The Mend, but we want to build something. We want to kind of have a real community of people. We want to make that bigger and more exciting, right? Because the thought of doing like live events with you guys really excites me. So we want to keep building this community, and you writing into us and us answering questions from you is really a massive part of that. So thank you so much for getting in touch. Thank you so much for sending your questions. Thank you for not making them all about Busted. And I really appreciate it. Guys, this means so much to me. How about we do this like a couple of times a year? You know, we kind of like get people to write in questions, so we do one episode a couple of times a year, 4 times a year, I don't know. Let's see how we go on. And we'll keep coming back to it, and we'll keep getting you guys involved in the show. How about that? Guys, thank you so much for listening. Once again, if you are struggling, just know that you're not on your own. There are very trusted resources which we have put in the show notes, which you can reach out to, and you might get the help that you need. All the best. Love you lots.